Hey everybody, and welcome back to more RHEM 3. In the last video, we made tons of progress. We were able to go to the secret library, gather up some clues, and we were able to solve these puzzles here at the bunker and at the radio tower thing. I'm calling it the radio tower. I don't know if that's really a good name for it, but you know what it is. And now I'm going to be setting my sights on a new destination, the apartment building. Well, I guess that's not really a new destination because we've already been there, but it's a new place that we haven't really investigated. We've been there, but we haven't really looked at anything there besides the doors, so what we see behind those doors is going to be completely new, and oh, the pattern was broken. I was really wishing that this would continue, but one light had to be nonconformist. Well, I guess it wouldn't have worked anyway because the pattern would have to have started with that, but anyway, I'm going to be starting at the top of the apartment building. Some people call this the mezzanine building, but I like calling it the apartment building because it looks like an apartment complex. I mean, look at this. I don't think we looked here last time, but we can actually see what's behind one of these doors. It just looks like more doorways and buttons. But let's get to work decoding the combinations for each of these doors. Now, what I'm going to do here is much like the bunker puzzle. I'm going to show how to arrive at one of the combinations, or at least one of the pieces of the combinations, and then I'll just enter each one using the notes I've got here. Because honestly, if I were to actually go reference the book that had all the stuff in it necessary for solving this puzzle, this would take a while. So I'll just show you how it's done with one of these things. So let's take this symbol right here. This has a vertical line and a horizontal line. Now, let's go to book number 6, which has our guide here. What you want to do is you want to find the correct combination of vertical and horizontal lines based on the intersection of this, this, and this. One symbol from each of these groups. Now, this set of 2 pages isn't really going to help us because it has a diagonal line as its base. And we don't even have a diagonal line, so let's go on. Here we go. We got this. Now, we've only got 2 lines here, so we don't have to worry about using a third line. In fact, what we can do is we can just copy down the same line twice. So let's just do it for this here. We got a vertical line to start out with, so let's just do 2 horizontals. We could also do a horizontal and a vertical, and that would just yield the same result. You can see the combination right here. So that's how you arrive at one of the symbol combinations. And yes, we would have to go through each of these balustrade things here and copy down the combination for each one. But like I said, I've got notes, so I'm just going to go ahead and reference them. Starting with this one, we're facing north, so we would be using the symbols on the balustrades right in front of us here that we would have to view from the other side. And I'm going to be referencing these in terms of horizontal and vertical, like whatever lines are at the top of each intersection here. And I'll just say H and V. H for horizontal and V for vertical. So the first one is H, V, H, H. That just sounds really weird saying it out loud. But that is seriously like how I thought about it when I played the game. And it's the opposite of that on top. I should have probably gone the other way through. Yeah, that's it. Okay, the second one is VHVV. Was that it? That's it. Okay, great. And the third one is HHHV. There we go. Perfect. Alright, well, we've opened up the room and we've got a map inside. And hey, there's a cute little stick figure depicting where we are. And actually, this map looks like something that we've seen before. We saw it in a book. It should be, let's see, 913. This one right here. Yeah, the exact same layout, and we can see some red dots that have arrows attached to them. Well, we can actually see all of the red dots here, but we don't really know what they do. There's also a blue panel right over here as well. This map also shows us that it's oriented north, and thankfully we're faced in the same direction, so that does help. But at least for the time being, we can make out some things. We can see that the door over here to our right is closed off, and it leads to a larger area. We can also see the entrance through which we walked in, as well as the entry points for each of the other doors located around the complex, or at least this floor of it. So let's just go ahead and open up the other ones for now. Let's see, this door is east, so let's go VHVH as the first one. There we go. The second one is VVHV. Almost. I just had the bottom switch there. There you go. And then the third one is VHVH again. There we go. Perfect, alright. Well, here we can see that larger area that was depicted on the map that we currently couldn't get to, as well as a panel here. Well, here's one of the buttons that we could view from that window in the entryway. And considering what we've seen on the map, this is most likely what the red dots on the map are referencing. Okay, well, we can't really see what this did, but think back to the book we picked up in the library. Well, okay, we copied it down, but you get my drift. We saw that the buttons were connected to arrows that pointed somewhere else. So, considering that we got all these doorways, one can only guess that the buttons control doorways in a completely different location, which will definitely make things complicated. Well, before we tackle that, let's just go ahead and open up all the other ones. This one is south, which has HVVV as the first. And what do you know? It's the very first one there. And then we got HVVH. That was almost it. It's just the last piece. Oh, come on, there we go, that's good. And then thirdly, we've got HHVH. Wait, was that it? Oh, almost it, just the bottom switched again. There we go. Okay, so here we go. We can see more of these doors. And look at that, we can see one of those green crystal container things on the other side. This would appear to correspond with the little panel on the map that we saw in the bottom right corner, which would be where this would be located. So that is our ultimate goal, to get to that spot. Let's just open this last door. We got VHHV. Wait a minute, was that it? Not quite. Okay, that's it. We got HVVH, which I think could be accessed more quickly through here, right? Wait, that was it, right? Yep, okay. And then HHVH. Wait, was that it just a minute ago? No, that was 2 V's. Okay, there we are. Wait, what? This is west, right? Okay, what am I missing? Oh wait, HHVV is the second one. Whoops. There we go. Wait, what? Okay, I got the third one wrong too. Okay, VHHH. Okay, what was I looking at when I was referencing this? I have no earthly idea. There we go. Okay, now we got it. And once again, we can see what we saw through the entrance here. Alright, so let's go back to the map and have a look. We have got a grand total of 8 different buttons that we can press. And our ultimate goal is this. We got to get to that blue panel here, or container thing. And we just need to open up 2 doors to make that a reality. Real simple, right? Yeah, it's not that simple. Well, let's take a look at what button controls what real quick. Whoops, not that one. This one. Okay, so if we were to look at the east door, the very first button controls the door all the way over here. That's at the very first entryway on the west side. And the second button that we can access from the east, which is the last room in that path, unlocks the final door guarding the crystal. Then we got one of the 2 buttons in this room here that can be accessed from the south entrance. This one controls the very first gate that leads to the crystal, and then the button that's in the very first entryway or room in the west side opens up the gate leading out of the second room in the west side. Now this button that's immediately to the right here from the south entrance controls the door that's right next to us. And the one that's on the other side of that wall, or doorway thing, controls the very first gate on the east side. And finally, on the last set of stuff, we've got this button here that can also be accessed from the very first south room, which controls this gate here, that connects this with the west side, and this button here on the west side in the second room controls this gate that's immediately to the right when you go in from the south. Whew! Okay, now there are several different ways to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by going west, young man. Let's press the very first button here. Thankfully, we don't need to enter the code every time. That really helps. This opens this door, but look at what this did. This actually got rid of the button. And that's what makes this so hard, because when you open up a door, you forfeit the right to use the button on that door. Yeah. That's what makes this really difficult. And yes, the buttons can be accessed only from one side. You can't access them from the other side. That's why they are labeled as such on the map. So let me go across to the east side now and open the very first door there. I'm just trying to open stuff for now. And if I remember correctly, this kind of goes in 2 different phases. Like, we have to do basically two separate processes to get each of these gates here open. Now, I'm going to go ahead and press both buttons here on the south side. In case you're wondering what the one over here did, that opened this very first gate here in the area we were just in. Alright, so now let me press this button. This one is the one that opens up that lone door here on the north side where the map is. And this one right here should unlock... Let's see... Oh wait, this one's the one that unlocks the north door, I think. Whereas this one is the one that unlocks this. You can see that now it's gone. Alright, so now I'm going to head back over to the west side. Because now we have opened everything up here to get to this. This is what we ultimately came here for. This opens the very first door on the east side. I hope you're keeping track of all this. I know it sounds really confusing, but when you put it together, it's just brilliant. Okay, so that in turn allows us to access this. Now, keep in mind, we cannot open this door. Remember on the map, there's no like symbol that shows that this is even a door, so we can't raise this. This button will always be here. And this, let's see, will open up this panel right here, or this doorway. So that's one doorway down. We just need to do one more. But in order to do that, we now have to go back and close some other things to get to stuff we haven't reached yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and close that door back on the east side. And now I'm going to go back over here and press this one to close this door. Because remember, there's two buttons here, and I want to press this one. Or, excuse me, there's not two buttons here. There was a button over here. In order to get to it, I had to sacrifice this button. So I want to open this up so I can reach this. That's what I'm trying to do. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and head back here because closing this now allows me to press the button here. This in turn closes the first door on the east or the west side, allowing me to press the button on it. Alright, so that closed that. And let's see, I'm now going to go back over here to open that door again. So now we can actually get across. There we go. Okay, so the door we just opened is the door that's immediately to the left when we enter the south entrance. Or excuse me, the right. So now we can press this and finally open up the door here. Yay, we solved the door puzzle. And we got another green crystal. Which one's this? Green crystal 2. Awesome. Okay, well, in the process of doing all this, remember, we also opened up that door on the north side. So let's go ahead and check that out. If there's one thing that does make this puzzle a little simpler, it's that we didn't have to worry about coming here the entire time we were switching doors around. But now we can come out here to this balcony, which is pretty cool. We can look down and see an area we haven't been to yet, as well as another building that we haven't visited at all, with a really kind of gooey looking window. There is also a panel here with a bunch of letter A's on it. But none of the buttons work. However, there's a blue dot here, and we do know that this is connected to that little switch that we pressed earlier. But it's not working, even though it's green. So let me look at it again. Okay, so we can set it to other colors. Okay, well, we saw blue, so I'm going to set it to blue. Yeah, that's kind of one of those things that took me a while to figure out, because normally in these games there's red and there's green, and green usually means that something is set. So, by pressing these, we're inputting a combination, and this would seem to be the go button. But we don't know the combination yet, so we're going to have to come back here later on. But for now, we have done what we can do here on the top floor, so I'm going to head back down and visit the middle floor, the one that's kind of oriented in a different direction. So let's head back through the south door. We haven't been back here to the very start since, well, the very start, actually. So we'll get to revisit some old memories, some old haunts of ours. Remember the good old days when we first got here and we were completely clueless about everything. Wait, of course it wouldn't be there because that's where we're exiting. There we go. Okay. So here, the directions are going to be different because remember, we're pointing at a 45-degree angle. Or we're juxtaposed. You know what I mean. Yeah, okay. I don't need to explain that. You guys know what this is about. So, what I'm going to do first is, I'm going to open this one first. Let's see, this is the northwest. I've got to remember that east and west are switched. So I've got VVVH as the first one. There we go. And I've got HVHV as the second one. And I've got VVHH as the third one. There we go. Well, no passage to check out, but we do get a key here. Kind of looks like the one we used in the 4-story building, but I don't think we've seen a hole that fits into yet. Now, I'm going to check this door out here in a minute, but first I'm going to look at the other ones. I'll just go in the opposite direction. Let's see, this would be the southwest door. So, let's see, I'm going to do HHHV. There we go. HHVV. There we go. And finally, HVHH. Just making sure I don't miss anything. Oh, come on, where are you? There you go. And we get a special shape thing. Isocator. Well, interestingly enough, we've seen one of these in one of the library books, and we've already gotten another shape, the cylinder from the radio room. So maybe we need to be collecting these. Okay, let's take on southeast. Let's see, this is southeast, right? Yep. Let's see, we got VHVV. And we've got HHVH. It seems like the ones that start off with a horizontal are more toward the beginning. And finally, we've got VHVV. So let me go backward for that one. Wait, yeah, that's VHVV. There we go. And we get yet another three-dimensional model thing here. Double cone, or hourglass thing. Yeah, they call it a double cone here. And we've seen this before. We saw this in that picture of the skull, or the painting of the skull in the dark room. So somehow this has to be important. Okay, well we've got one last room to check out, so let's take a look at it. This is the northeast room. We've got VVHV. I really should have gone backward for that. We've got HVVV, which is right there, and we got VHVH. There we go. And we got a whole passage to look at here. Yay! We can see that other building that we could spot from the top level earlier. And there's something here. It's a plaque that depicts a bunch of kind of jaggedy peak things with some lines running through them. Which may look unfamiliar, but if you look really closely, we've actually seen these before. These were the weird letter A's that we saw on the control panel up there. And since there are 8 of them that are marked here, this would appear to be the combination that we need. So we got the double A, low A, high A, double A, high A, low A, double A. Cool. Alright, completely new area. Let's see what we've got to check out here. We've got a long hallway, and we've got a room that has a painting of a general holding a, well, it looks like an impossible triangle type thing. And he's got a badge, you know, stripe. What do you call those things? I know that they have like a term, like in the military when you have like a bunch of stuff on your uniform. Like they have a really fun term for that. I forgot what it's called, but anyway, it's a 4x2 square thing, which we've seen before on the paintings. So this would seem to be a part of that same art series, or whatever you want to call it. There's also a door here that's closed, and we can't open it, but we can knock on it, which is different than the sounds that we've been getting elsewhere. As well as a room with a machine and orange flower wallpaper. And blinds we can close. I'll close them. There's really not much of a view out there. Well, this is kind of cool. We can cycle through a bunch of different symmetrical shapes, and we should recognize these because they are the same shapes that were printed on the images that we saw in the bunker when we got all the combinations unlocked. So, if you remember, there were different colors, one of which was orange, and the orange flower had this circle in the middle. So I'm going to set this, whatever this thing is, to that. This goes out to something out here, and it appears to go upward, so we don't really know exactly where. Well, there's another room here, but this door is blocking our way. Interestingly enough, there are more of these pipes, or wire things. Okay, we got another military man. This time he's holding a coil, and he's got yet another one of these square formations on his uniform. But once again, the door here is locked. So that's all we can really do here. Well, in the meantime, I'm not going to worry about the... Actually, you know what? I'll do that later. I was going to say, I'm not really going to worry about the A puzzle for now, because I do want to go to the bottom and check that out. But what I do want to worry about is this. Because believe it or not, we do actually have a clue to this, and this was the answer to the riddle I posed in the last video. Which puzzle do we already have the answer to that I haven't really mentioned as part of the group of secret library clues? And that's this. There was a book that we found. It was, let's see, this book, and it had a bunch of these circle things on them. Now the trick here is to recognize that there's only really a group of 2 of these things that are actually relevant, and it's the one that has 8 different dots marked. What you have to realize is that the orange and the blue, or cyan or whatever you want to call it, are the key to remembering that this is for the hatch, because this side has a hatch with an orange button and the other side is a hatch with the blue button. So let's just use the combinations here. This is the orange-sided one, so we'll go with the orange set of numbers. Let's see, number 1, I believe, is this one. Then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and finally 8. Well, we open up one of the hatches, but not the other one. And here we can see a symbol with an upside down triangle and a circle positioned northwest of it. We haven't seen what we can use that for, but we'll definitely make a note of it. We just need to close it and open it again just to get both of them opened up. But let's do the same thing for this side. For the cyan group of buttons, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, I think. There we go. And this time we get a kind of upside down Y, like the flux capacitor, and a circle at the bottom of it. Cool, cool. Alright, so we've gotten that puzzle done, at least for now. And we've got one more floor of the apartment complex to check out. So what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to just open the doors and then I'll stop the video because there's a lot to see here and I want to save this for another time. So first things first, I will at least just kind of give you a brief glimpse of what's behind each one. But at least for now, let me start with this one actually. This is pointing west. So let's see, west is VHHH. Actually, let me go backward for that. Almost there. There we go. And let's see, we've got HVVV. I think that's like the first one. Yeah, there we go. And then we got VHHV. Oh, that was almost it back there. Was that it? Yeah, that's it. Okay. And we get another key, and this one should look familiar, actually, because this is the same shape that we needed a key for at the very start when we first got to that first train stop where we visited Kalos's office. It was right by the screen where he told us to go through the gate quickly. Alright, we're now facing north, so let's do north. We've got VVHH. We've got HVVH. There we go. And finally, we've got VVVH. There we are. And this goes to another building. It looks like the building that we could see from over there when we were up on that balcony earlier. And we got the remaining leaf. Awesome. I'm going to check out this building in the next video, though. I'll save that for then. We got 2 more doors to unlock, and I want to just go ahead and take care of that. Alright, we're now facing east, and the combinations for it are HVHH, oh, come on, there we are. And we got HHVV. There we are. And HHHV. And we can see here that we're on the other side of the lower floor of the building we were exploring earlier. We get more rooms, more mystery, and we can see the results of where all those wires lead. We'll look at that more here in a little bit, though. We got one more door to check out. And I promise you, this is the last time we'll have to enter these barcode things. So you won't have to worry about hearing me say H and V ever again. Okay, VHVH is the first one, and then we got VHVV. There we go. And we finally have VVHV. Perfect. Okay, and over here we've got the box where we can put that key we found on the upper floor, or the middle floor rather. Key B. Hey, wait a minute. We're back at the start! Sweet! Alright. Well, we've basically just come full circle around this whole area. So I'll tell you what, we got a lot of stuff to check out here, especially on the bottom, and we've got a lot of mysteries to unravel, so we're going to take those on in the next video. I kind of want to do the whole apartment unlocking thing in one video, but I knew that we wouldn't really be able to fit all the puzzles, because we got a lot to tackle. So I'm just going to go ahead and cap things off here and continue and pick up next time. So until then, take care everybody, and I will catch you on the flip side, and I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So I'll see you then.